Michael Adekunle is an African billionaire with a charm that could disarm anyone. His wealth, influence, and success were known throughout Lagos and beyond, making him a highly sought-after bachelor. At 32, he had an empire spanning real estate, tech, and oil, and his name appeared frequently in magazines that lauded his business acumen and philanthropy. But beneath the glamour, Michael harbored a secret pain, a sense of loneliness that no amount of success could erase. His romantic history was a long, frustrating journey. As one of the continent's wealthiest men, he found himself surrounded by women, all eager to claim a place in his life. Many were stunningly beautiful and highly accomplished, yet something essential was missing in every relationship. He felt as though they were more invested in his fortune and status than in him as a person. Michael had even tried dating women from different circles, socialites, businesswomen, artists, but the pattern was the same. One of his earliest relationships had been with Aisha, a vibrant Lagos socialite he met at a charity event. She was charming and appeared genuine, a rarity in his world. But as their relationship progressed, he noticed little things. How her face would light up whenever he mentioned taking her on trips to Paris or buying her lavish gifts. When he hesitated to talk about his wealth or downplayed his success, she'd quickly lose interest in the conversation. Eventually, he realized Aisha was drawn to the life he could offer her, not to him. Heartbroken, he ended things and Aisha moved on just as quickly. Then there was Ifeoma, a lawyer who came across as serious and grounded. Michael thought she would be different. She seemed uninterested in glamour, even a little shy about wealth. For a time he felt that they were building something real. But cracks began to show when they discussed marriage. She often hinted that they could become a power couple, constantly asking him to help her with investments or use his influence to open doors in her career. Michael felt as if she saw him as a business partner rather than a husband. Once again he felt like a resource, a tool to fulfill someone else's ambitions, and he ended things. Michael tried dating women from more humble backgrounds as well, thinking that maybe simplicity would bring authenticity. Yet, with Tola, a teacher he'd met through his foundation, the same problem emerged. She seemed more interested in his bank account than his heart, constantly talking about her financial struggles and dropping hints about her family's needs. Michael often felt that he was walking on eggshells, never sure if her love was for him or his ability to change her circumstances. Each relationship left Michael more disillusioned. He came to realize that his wealth, once a source of pride, had become a wall separating him from authentic connection. By now, Michael was wary of anyone who came into his life, constantly questioning their motives. He was lonely and tired, longing for a love that would see him as Michael, not as the billionaire. One evening, as he sat in his lavish penthouse overlooking the Lagos skyline, he had an idea. What if he stripped away his wealth? What if he became someone ordinary with nothing to offer but himself? He felt foolish for even thinking it, yet the idea grew more compelling. The only way to find real love, he thought, was to meet someone who'd love him without knowing his fortune. And so, Michael crafted a bold plan. He would disguise himself as a poor man to search for someone who would see beyond his wealth. He was ready to put it all on the line. So he devised a plan. Michael decided to shed his billionaire identity, don simple clothes, and go incognito in Lagos as a poor man to find the woman who would love him for who he truly was. The disguise. Michael dressed in faded jeans and a simple t-shirt, clothes he hadn't worn since his early 20s. He bought a beat-up old car, rented a modest one-room apartment in Ajij, a bustling lower-income area of Lagos, and took on the name Mikey. No one in Ajij would recognize him. Here he was just another ordinary guy trying to get by. For work, he took up a small job at a neighborhood mechanic's workshop. He was no stranger to cars, having an interest in them since he was young, so he managed to fit right in, fixing engines, changing tires, and sharing stories with the other mechanics who thought him a little eccentric for speaking English so formally. This was where he met her. Amara was a schoolteacher in her mid-20s, graceful and full of warmth. She taught at a nearby primary school, and every day she would pass by the workshop on her way home. One day her car broke down near the mechanic's shop, and she had no choice but to ask for help. Mikey walked over, his hands greasy, his shirt stained from a long day's work. He introduced himself with a smile. "Hello, ma'am. I'm Mikey. Let's see what's wrong with your car." Amara was taken aback by his politeness. Most mechanics she'd met were gruff, but Mikey was different. There was something gentle about him. As he worked on her car, they talked about everything from the importance of education to the challenges of living in Lagos. She was passionate about her students and dreamed of building a small community library. She laughed easily, her eyes sparkling with kindness and warmth. When he finished fixing her car, she offered him a small amount of money as thanks. He hesitated, then took it. It felt strange accepting such a small sum, but he reminded himself that this was his life now. From then on, they began to meet regularly. Sometimes he would join her at a small roadside buka, a local food stall, for lunch. Other times they would walk along the beach, watching the sunset and sharing stories about their lives. Amara saw Mikey as humble and ambitious, someone with dreams but limited means. Little did she know of the real man behind the mechanic's uniform. Weeks turned into months, and Mikey's bond with Amara deepened. They grew close, talking about life struggles, their families, and their hopes for the future. Amara was a rarity. She wasn't looking for a rich husband, just someone who was kind, loyal, and willing to stand by her side. She had been raised by a single mother who taught her to value character over wealth, and she was determined to live by those values. One night, as they sat by the water, Amara spoke about her dream of helping her students achieve more, of a world where they wouldn't be limited by poverty. Mikey listened intently, her words resonating with his own desire to make an impact. He felt something he hadn't felt in years, a sense of purpose beyond the confines of his wealth. She didn't know it, but Amara was helping him rediscover the joy of simplicity and connection. One evening, he found himself at her modest apartment, admiring the homemade decorations and photos of her family. They were sharing a quiet dinner when he looked at her and said, "Amara, would you ever marry someone who had nothing?" She looked up, surprised but thoughtful. "If he's a good man, yes," she replied softly. "Money doesn't last forever, but kindness and loyalty do. Wealth can disappear in a day, but a good heart lasts a lifetime." Her words touched him deeply, and he knew then that he had found the woman he had been searching for. Michael's family and friends had grown increasingly worried about him. His assistant, Femi, knew his whereabouts and frequently urged him to abandon his ruse, fearing it could go wrong. But Michael insisted on keeping up the charade until he was certain of Amara's love. Finally, after nearly 6 months, Michael decided it was time. He invited Amara to meet him at a fancy restaurant, a significant step up from their usual hangouts. When she arrived, she looked around nervously, feeling out of place among the wealthy diners. She spotted Mikey at a table, but he wasn't wearing his usual attire. Instead, he was dressed in a tailored suit, looking every bit the billionaire he truly was. Amara froze, her heart pounding. Was this some kind of joke? He rose and approached her gently. Amara, he began, his voice shaking slightly, I have something to tell you. My real name is Michael Adekunle. I'm a businessman and I'm wealthy beyond what you may imagine. I disguised myself because I wanted to know if you would love me for who I am, not for my money. She was silent for a long time, absorbing the shock. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me the truth? He looked down, ashamed. I was afraid of being loved for the wrong reasons. I needed to be sure. Amara's eyes filled with tears, and for a moment, Michael feared he had lost her. But she composed herself, looking at him with both hurt and love. I don't care about your money, Michael. I care about you, the man who helped fix my car, who walked with me, who listened to my dreams. But you have to promise me one thing. Anything, he said, reaching for her hand. Promise me that you'll always be honest with me from now on. Wealth may come and go, but trust, that's something I can't live without. With a heart full of gratitude and relief, he nodded, holding her hand tightly. I promise, he whispered. From that day on, Michael and Amara began a new chapter, one built on honesty, respect, and a love that had transcended wealth and appearance. They became a formidable team, using Michael's resources to create scholarships for Amara's students and build the community library she had dreamed of. Michael had found his true love, and Amara had found the man who would stand by her side, wealthy or poor. And in their journey together, they proved that the heart beneath the mask is what truly matters.